Okay, here's a radical thought for you. What if the key to solving Alzheimer's isn't actually in our brain at all, but in our gut? Today, we're diving into a revolutionary idea that's flipping everything we thought we knew about neurodegenerative diseases completely on its head. And yeah, it all starts in a place you'd least expect.
For decades, the war on diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's has been fought on just one front, the brain. We've poured billions of dollars and countless hours of research into studying neurons and plaques, and honestly, we're still losing that war. So it makes you wonder, could we have been looking in the wrong place this whole time?
I mean, the human cost of these diseases is just immeasurable. But the financial cost? It's absolutely staggering. By 2050, dementia alone is on track to cost the world over $9 trillion. It's crystal clear that the old ways of thinking just aren't cutting it. It's time for a whole new strategy.
And that new strategy, well, it starts right here, in our gut. This slide shows something that's just mind-blowing. An imbalance in our gut microbiome, a state called dysbiosis, is now being connected to a whole host of major diseases. We're talking heart disease, cancer, and yep, Alzheimer's is right there on the list. We have a new prime suspect in the case.
So this is the main takeaway, the huge idea we need to wrap our heads around. We can't keep looking at the brain as if it's in a bubble. These aren't just brain diseases anymore. They look a lot more like whole-body systemic diseases that just happen to show their worst symptoms in the brain. And that one shift in perspective, it changes absolutely everything.
Okay, but how? How on earth can our gut possibly affect our brain? It seems crazy, right? Well, the answer lies in this incredibly complex communication network, a biological superhighway that scientists are really just now starting to map out.
And at the heart of this superhighway is something called the gut-brain-immune triad. Think of it like a constant three-way conference call that never hangs up. First, you've got the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord. Then, you've got the gut microbiome, this massive community of microbes that's so important they call it our second genome. And the third party on the line, the one mediating the whole conversation, that's our immune system. So this three-way call happens using chemical messengers, and some of the most important messengers are called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs. Basically, when the good bacteria in your gut get to work digesting fiber, from stuff like oats or beans, they produce these amazing little molecules. You can think of them as positive text messages sent from your gut directly to your brain. And these SCFAs, they're multitasking superstars. Seriously. First, they act like mortar or cement, strengthening the walls of both our gut lining and the super important blood-brain barrier. They also work like an epigenetic key, literally turning on genes that protect our brain cells. And if that wasn't enough, they provide the fuel for cells in our gut to produce over 90% of our body's serotonin, the famous feel-good chemical. So that's the system when it's all in perfect harmony. It's a beautiful thing. But what happens when the lines of communication get cut? What happens when those positive messages stop and toxic signals start flooding the network instead? Well, that's when the trouble really starts.
And the breakdown begins with dysbiosis. Now, this isn't just a small imbalance. This is a full-blown functional crisis in your gut. It's like a hostile takeover where the good guys, the beneficial SCFA-producing microbes, get wiped out, and aggressive inflammation-causing organisms move in and take over the territory.
It's really a tale of two guts. On one side, you have a healthy gut. It's diverse, productive, and sealed up tight. On the other side, you have a dysbiotic gut. It's lost its diversity, it's starved of those crucial SCFAs, and its barrier has weakened. This leads to what we call a leaky gut, and it creates a constant simmering state of inflammation. And a leaky gut is a recipe for disaster. All of a sudden, things that should be safely contained inside the gut are escaping into your bloodstream. The number one bad guy here is a toxin from the cell walls of certain bacteria. Its name is lipopolysaccharide, or LPS for short. And when LPS escapes, it's like pulling the 5-alarm fire bell for your entire immune system. Okay, so now you have LPS running wild in your bloodstream, and it triggers this massive inflammatory response all over your body. And this is the critical part. This body-wide inflammation starts to weaken the brain's last line of defense, the blood-brain barrier. It starts to get leaky too, allowing all those inflammatory molecules and even LPS itself to pour directly into the brain. It basically triggers a firestorm of neuroinflammation. So that's the theory, right? A problem in the gut sets off a chain reaction that ends with a fire in the brain. It's a compelling story, But what's the direct evidence that connects this process to Alzheimer's and Parkinson's? Let's open up the case files. What's so fascinating is that this breakdown of the gut-brain immune axis seems to be a common thread. As you can see here, this gut dysbiosis can be the starting point for a whole bunch of different diseases. The pathway might be the same, even if it ends up leading to the amyloid plaques of Alzheimer's in one person or the protein tangles of Parkinson's in another. When it comes to Alzheimer's, the evidence is pretty damning. We're not just talking about patients having less microbial diversity. We're talking about finding the killer at the crime scene. In post-mortem studies, researchers have discovered fragments of that bacterial toxin, LPS, literally inside the infamous amyloid plaques in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. That is a smoking gun.
For Parkinson's, the evidence points to this incredible gut-first origin story. And maybe the most compelling clue is the timeline. We're seeing non-motor symptoms, especially things like severe constipation, show up a decade or sometimes even longer before a diagnosis. The leading theory is that the disease actually begins in the gut, and then misfolded proteins travel up the vagus nerve, which is like a data cable connecting the gut and brain, all the way to their final destination. And if you need more proof, check this out. Large-scale studies have found that people who, for other medical reasons, have had that vagus nerve connection severed, well, they have a significantly lower risk of ever developing Parkinson's disease down the road. It's like they literally shut down the highway, stopping the disease dead in its tracks. Okay, so if a dysfunctional gut is a huge part of the problem, it stands to reason that restoring the gut has to be a huge part of the solution, right? This changes the entire focus of treatment. It's not just about damage control in the brain anymore, it's about restoring balance to this entire ecosystem. Which brings us to the most exciting part, hacking our second brain to save our first. The new strategy is multi-layered. The foundation, of course, is diet. Things like the Mediterranean diet that feed our good microbes with fiber-rich foods so they can churn out more of those protective SCFAs. The next level up is something called psychobiotics. Think of them as next-gen probiotics specifically designed to support brain health. And the most cutting-edge approach? Postbiotics, where we bypass the bacteria entirely and deliver their beneficial compounds, like SCFAs, directly as a form of precision medicine. This all sounds incredibly promising, and it is, but we have to be realistic here. This is the absolute frontier of science, and there are still some major hurdles to clear before these gut-based therapies can become a reality for everyone. The biggest one is that classic chicken and egg problem. Does the messed up gut cause the disease, or is it just another symptom? Then there's the huge challenge of personalization. Your gut microbiome is as unique as your fingerprint, so a one-size-fits-all pill probably isn't going to work. And finally, the science is just so new that the whole field is still trying to agree on the best ways to even conduct the research. You know, for decades, we've been looking outward, searching for some new silver bullet pill created in a lab. But this new science points us inward. It suggests that the future of brain health, the next great leap forward, might not be about inventing a new chemical at all, but about finally learning to scientifically nurture the complex, powerful, and ancient ecosystem that's already living inside every single one of us.